Hello and welcome to the For We Are Many podcast. My name is Rob. Oh, you were muted. I'm sorry. There you go.
I was too. I didn't even realize it. Hi, I'm also known as Zen.
Welcome to the show this week. First of all, sorry that we're coming to you a complete day late. I'm in the process of moving, and everybody has had shit going on this week. So,
All right.
we're a little bit late, and it might end up being a shorter show. We don't have a whole lot, but there are some things going on that, needless to say, we feel are important to talk about.
Yeah, like holy shit, Bolivia.
Yeah, which I didn't put anything about Bolivia. Emily didn't put anything about Bolivia in that document, so that one we're going to have to, figure out on the fly. But we also have inflation, record high gas prices, the March for Our Lives protests, new information was released about warning signs of the Uvalde shooter. And we got a bit of good news for our trans allies in Texas. A judge blocked the state of Texas from investigating families of trans youth. Remember that they passed a law stating that letting your kid be themselves was child abuse. Yeah, and we're gonna talk. I already said inflation, but we are officially at the fastest pace of inflation in 40 years, and gas prices are a huge part of that. But it's not just gas prices; it's the energy sector as a whole, and food is up considerably as well. Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah, I'm grabbing the stuff that on Bolivia so we can cover that one too.
Right on. So I guess I'll just start at the top. Mass shootings. Obviously, we had a little bit of a reprieve from them during COVID, but they're back with a vengeance this year. Almost always, it's somebody who's 18 or 19 years old, and it's very much been specifically AR-15 type weapons. And we're probably not going to go too deep into the like debate part of it, right? But here are the facts. There's been at least 254 mass shootings just this year in the United States. We're not even halfway through the year.
Right.
In 2020, guns became the leading cause of death among people ages 1 to 19 in the U.S., more than vehicle crashes, drug overdoses, or cancer. And I mean, people want something to change. Thousands of demonstrators have been taking to the streets, and hundreds of protests across the country today to push lawmakers to take action on gun violence in the wake of recent mass shootings. There was more than 450 rallies worldwide, the largest being in D.C., which started at noon and went to 2. The mayor drew loud cheers as she called for common sense gun laws, including mandatory background checks and a ban on assault rifles. She said, "We don't have to live like this. People in other countries don't have to live like this." I want to say that more or less agree with background checks. I agree with waiting periods. I agree with raising the age from 18 to 21. I mean, I could probably argue a case to raising it to 25, right? But a ban on assault rifles, when there's already millions in circulation, isn't going to do shit. Not to mention that it will disproportionately affect communities of color. And that argument could be made on the background checks as well. Manuel Oliver, whose son was killed in a school shooting, addressed the crowd calling for students not to attend school until elected officials stop avoiding the crisis of gun violence in America. Now, that I do want to take a little, just a couple of minutes to kind of dive into. He's essentially calling for a strike, a student strike. And I mean, that could be a very effective way to enact change. But I mean, the question is, will elected officials care? No. I don't think they will. They'll probably just, pass legislation trying to punish parents whose kids stop going to school. Anyway, Darnell Whitfield Jr., whose 86-year-old mother, Ruth, was fatally gunned down during that attack. Which attack? I don't have that in my notes. Said he was at the D.C. protest to demand sensible gun reform. Quote, "We hear a lot about prayer, and prayer is wonderful. But prayer requires action. You pray, and then you get up and walk." I mean, spot on. Spot on.
Thoughts and prayers without actions don't do shit.
Right. Zoe Touré, who survived a shooting at Oxford High School in suburban Detroit nearly 7 months ago, showed up at the D.C. rally in hope that this time something would be done to save more lives. Quote, "I wasn't old enough to remember the last march. I was probably in middle school. So to be able to see it all come to fruition in person, it gave me so much optimism." These rallies were organized by March for Our Lives, which is a youth-driven organization first created by the students who survived the mass shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida in 2018. In Parkland, hundreds of demonstrators gathered outside the Pine Trails Park Amphitheater Saturday morning to demand background checks for all gun sales, the implementation of the red flag laws, and an increase in the minimum age to buy semi-automatic rifles from 18 to 21. Red flag laws allow judges to take away firearms from a person who poses an imminent danger to themselves or others. The House passed the red flag bill on Thursday. They even drew 5 Republican votes. Wow. I guess to circle back there, though, I mean, background checks would be a reasonable hurdle that could save lives. Red flag laws, I have serious concerns about their implementation. To be honest, I do about background checks as well. But that being said, this conversation has to happen. And an increase in the minimum age to buy semi-auto rifles from 18 to 21. I mean, I would be cool with raising the minimum age to buy firearms in general from 18 to 21. There obviously would have to be exceptions for, things like farming, hunting, but like there is no reason that an 18-year-old needs to be able to go to the gun shop and buy a high-powered rifle or even I can understand shotguns. That's home defense. That's hunting. Right. I can understand where they came to semi-automatic rifles from, right? But the thing is that affects also a lot of hunting rifles. I mean, if you have something with a 5-round, like say a 308 with a 5-round magazine, you can't own that till you're 21. So, I mean, I get that. There would have to be exclusions made. There would have to be specific circumstances. But the point is that we can't just continue to sit on our hands and pretend that it's not an issue.
Ain't that the fucking truth? It definitely needs to be raised as far as the age limit.
Natalie, you didn't miss too much.
I don't think.
We're still in our first topic. We're talking about the March for Our Lives rallies that happened today across the country, including in DC, and kind of talking more generally about mass shootings at the moment. Trisha, did you freeze? I think you froze. Damn. David Hogg, a 2018 graduate from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School and a co-founder of March for Our Lives, said, quote, "We need to put aside our politics and save our kids and loved ones from the senseless and horrific violence before it impacts them." According to Serena Rodriguez, a national coordinator for March for Our Lives, the organization participated in 71 meetings with elected officials on Capitol Hill in the past week. Quote, "I feel confident that we'll get something probably like universal background checks, but we'll keep pushing for more." Quote, "We're coming out of COVID and people are trying to go back to normal, get back into schools and get back into work. But I think as a society right now, we're realizing that this is not the normal that we want to go back to." Responding to calls for stricter gun laws, some Republicans have proposed increasing mental health services to help prevent the next tragedy. Experts in the field say blaming mental health is a deflection from the fact that gun control is a necessary part of prevention. I mean, I do think that we should be increasing mental health services, and I do think that that would help with the gun issue, right? But I also don't think that it's the end-all be-all of the gun issue. It's a major factor for sure. Anyway, Hogg said, quote, "Let's stop using mental health as a scapegoat from confronting white supremacy in our country." And I mean, honestly, that's a fair fucking point.
I'm trying to catch up here with where you're at in that document.
I'm at the bottom of the first topic now, but I wanted to point out something that Chairman Jake was talking about regarding firearms today. We can't just, give everybody a gun and expect everything to be fine. There's so many things that go with that, including training, right? Including mental health care, right? Including community support and your needs being met. There is so much more that goes into this than just it's a mental health problem or it's a gun problem or it's a people problem. It's all of the above and more.
All right. This is a patriarchy problem. It's a white supremacy problem. It's a sociological problem the whole fucking way around. That, what the fuck is happening and how kids are being raised. And I don't just, point at the parents here. I'm pointing at entire communities. I'm pointing at the frame of mind in which life itself is fucking addressed when we're dealing with living in a patriarchal, fucking sexist, racist, capitalist fucking system. What the fuck is going on here and how kids are being raised? That this is how they react to things. It's a big fuck.
Before I get to the next topic in the document, there is something that I almost forgot, actually. The People's Defense Initiative put out a press release for the Amazon Labor Union yesterday. And they will be coming to Phoenix before I move. So we will have boots on the ground at this event. We will be marching in solidarity. We will be, when possible, live streaming the speakers. Chris Smalls, of course, is the keynote speaker. But yes, so there was a press release about a press conference, and that will be taking place Sunday and Monday. So we will be on the ground. We will probably do a follow-up piece as well as, the live streaming during the speakers. So look out for that. That'll be Sunday and or Monday, according to the email. They do have 2 times booked. So, I mean, I think at this point, if they haven't announced one or the other, that it's going to be both. But either way, I'm going to try to make it to both. If it's not possible, I will at least make it to one. We will have footage to follow. We will have live stream coverage. Yeah. Why? I know I have it on my phone. I don't know why it's not showing me the whole email. Maybe I'm just an idiot. I guess it's possible. Aha,
Sorry,
there
guys,
it
my
is.
signal's shit today. Blooping out in the fucking ether.
Yeah, Natalie, I'm going to read a bit of their press release. The Amazon Labor Union is holding a press conference here in Phoenix Sunday and Monday, and I will be going. We will have a lot of footage after the fact, so probably the following day we'll have a follow-up piece on it. But we will also be live streaming during some of the speakers, as well as trying to network. So, of course, being an Amazon Labor Union conference, Chris Smalls is going to be the keynote speaker, but there are several others speaking as well. So, a delegation of the ALU representatives, including President Chris Smalls, Vice President Angelica Maldonado, Secretary Michelle Valentin Nieves, along with a group of rank-and-file worker organizers, will travel to Phoenix, Arizona to protest Amazon's attempts to overturn the first successful union election in the company's history. ALU will be joined by local unions and community organizations, calling on Amazon to drop their objections and to recognize the Amazon Labor Union. On April 1st, the Amazon workers of JFK 8 shocked the world by defeating Amazon in their union election by a margin of over 10%. The final vote tally, which was overseen by the National Labor Relations Board, was 2,654 votes in favor to 2,131 votes against. That's over a 500 vote win. That's a pretty significant win. Amazon has filed 25 objections in an attempt to overturn the election. Seth Goldstein, an attorney for the ALU, described the objections as racist, baseless, and absurd. ALU President Chris Smalls commented on Amazon's attempt to overturn the election, saying, quote, "These objections are insulting to the workers of JFK 8 who survived the pandemic and defeated a $1 trillion company just to see Amazon use their highly paid lawyers to try to silence the voices of thousands of their own workers." Speakers will be available for a Q&A after the event. we don't have like press passes yet. So I don't know that I will be able to personally participate in the Q&A. However, if the Q&A is open to the public and not just press, then if any of you have questions, email them to for wearemanypodcast@gmail.com. And I'll do my best to ask them. All right. So back to the things that I do have written down. New information was released about the warning signs of the Uvalde shooting. And I mean, this is really quick. This is literally going to take like 2 minutes. The Uvalde shooter posted a picture to his Instagram of 2 AR-15 rifles that he legally purchased, one on his birthday, May 17th, and one just 3 days later. He also purchased 375 rounds of ammunition. A member of a pro-gun group believes posting pictures of a firearm should not be a red flag. Quote, this is Dean Reich of the Buckeye Firearm Association said, quote, I know plenty of young people who have firearms. It's not a matter of what they own. It's a matter of what they do. So this is about behavior. A school psychologist believes posting pictures with a firearm is questionable behavior. Obviously, we're specifically referring to young people. But he believes parents need to engage with their kids and look out for warning signs. And this is one more reason that I personally believe that these shootings are a byproduct of capitalism. Both parents work, right? Usually full time, and then they have to take care of the house, cook dinner, make sure the kids are ready for school. That leaves very little time for engagement with your kids. And I think that this is a byproduct of that.
Yeah, for sure. Gotta be frustrating because, trying to engage with your kids, real conversation with them about life, about what the fuck is going on at them, if they're getting bullied, anything discuss. If you're two literally don't have the time because you're constantly working, then that's shortchanging your kids completely. That's leaving them isolated even at home.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that was that whole topic. So this next one, I would assume the next two really are gonna take us a while. Well, maybe not. I guess it depends. But so a judge blocked the state of Texas from investigating the families of trans youth, right? And it's a temporary block for now. We'll see how that happens, but point is that this ruling comes about a month after the Texas Supreme Court allowed the state to investigate parents of transgender youth for child abuse. Right? So now a federal judge in Texas temporarily blocked the state from investigating families of transgender children who have received gender confirming medical care. So,
which, in case anybody's unaware, when you're underage, that's pretty much limited to working with a therapist for one, and working with like hormone regulators to stop you from developing,
yeah.
Yeah. So that way, because it's a lot harder to go and get surgery later if, say, you are trans male and you start growing breasts at puberty. That makes it a lot more fucking difficult. So, we're not talking about surgery or anything when somebody's underage. We're simply talking about hormone blockers. That's all. That's not abuse. That's allowing a child to go, no, I would like to make this choice for what happens with my own fucking skin suit. And, giving them the ability to make it easier on themselves once they are an adult to actually get surgery.
Totally agreed. Spokespeople for Republican Governor Greg Abbott and Attorney General Ken Paxton, who placed the order, did not immediately respond to requests for comment. The temporary restraining order was issued by Judge Hans Seufer, and it halted investigation against 3 families who sued and prevents any similar investigation against members of the LGBTQ advocacy group PFLAG Inc. Quote, these families will be protected from invasive, unnecessary, and unnerving investigations by DFPS simply for helping their transgender children thrive and be themselves. That is Brian K. Bond, Executive Director of PFLAG National. The families had talked in court filings about the anxiety that the investigations had created for them and their children. I mean, I can't even imagine that. The
Right.
fact that the state can, try to turn appropriate health care into child abuse.
Yeah. It's fucking disturbing that, people have even pushed for these fucking kinds of laws. Like, are you kidding me? Are you fucking
Right.
kidding me? The real abuse is denying them the health care that they seek. In this case, the mother of one of the kids said that her son had attempted suicide and was hospitalized the day that Abbott issued his directive. The outpatient psychiatric facility where the teen was referred to reported the family for child abuse after learning that he'd been prescribed hormone therapy. That's fucked up. That's so fucked up. So what, they would rather that kids try to kill themselves because they can't access proper health care? How is the system not guilty of fucking abuse at that point?
Right.
And speaking of bigots, Arkansas last year became the first state to pass a law prohibiting gender confirming treatments for minors, and Tennessee then approved a similar measure. A judge blocked the Arkansas law, and a federal appeals court will hear the arguments in the case next week. Um, so, folks, if you're out there in Arkansas, in Tennessee, you need to start marching against this shit. You need to call them the fuck out. You need to get this shit overturned for real. That's just disgusting that the state can actually fucking presume to have the privilege to abuse your children while accusing you of it over proper health care.
And I mean, even the phrase, though, gender affirming, I mean, so does that mean that if a doctor recognizes their preferred pronouns, that is gender affirming? I don't like, could that be flipped against the doctor as well? I don't really understand.
Right? They're already trying to come after teachers for calling people by the or go
Right.
fuck. Fucking shit show we live in.
I mean, the point is, though, that, like, as allies, we have to always stand up for our trans comrades because this is what they deal with on a daily basis. I
They
think you
face a
froze
whole
again,
other
Trisha.
of shit. That,
Oh, there we go.
God damn it.
No, I hear you now. Damn it. The point is, oh, you're back. The point is that I am never going to understand that firsthand, right? But I mean, like, you can see it all around you. I don't know. I don't really have too much to say on that topic other than stand with your trans comrades. So, moving into the next topic, everybody's favorite topic. That was sarcasm, but it does affect all of us. Inflation, fastest pace in 40 years, and it's being pushed by record high gas prices. Drove inflation overall, and keep in mind these are official numbers. We've already had conversations on how I think that these numbers are not accurate, but record gas prices drove inflation to 8.6% for the last 12 months, ending in May, higher than the pace in April, which was also a record-setting month. The reading for core CPI, which strips out volatile food and energy prices, so that is them explaining partially why the numbers are downplayed, right? So that strips out volatile food and energy prices, which is a lot of where our inflation is at currently. Anyway, posted a 6% increase over the same period, higher than the previous month's level. Both readings are among the biggest jumps in prices experienced by consumers since 1981, higher than forecast by economists who expected prices to jump by 8.3%. Over the 12 months ending in May, which would have matched last April. This report crushes hope that inflation had peaked earlier this year. Who in the fuck thought that inflation had peaked earlier this year?
I don't know. I'd love to know. They apparently weren't anticipating just how fucked this year is.
I mean, they're trying to act like, it's the COVID money or it's higher wages or whatever. No, it's greed.
It's greed.
Just like it was in the fucking early 1900s when we had to, come up with trust busting laws. It was greed then and it's greed now. Greed caused the Great Depression, and greed is causing the recession that is already underway.
Yep. No fucking doubt about that. Let's go. Fucking greed sickness. These motherfuckers are sick in the head.
So, Sung-Won Son, professor of finance and economics at Loyola Marymount University in LA, said, quote, inflation is going higher and broader with a worsening outlook. The probability of a recession in the next year or so is rising. I want to interject there. I think, based on what I see with my own eyes, that the recession is already here. The press is just trying to convince us that it's not here.
Right.
Anyway.
It's already.
Right. Inflation is eating away at consumers' purchasing power. You don't say. Since consumer spending accounts for about 70% of the economy, a real decrease in consumer spending would deal a very big blow to the economy. The typical U.S. household is spending $460 more every month than they did last year to purchase the same basket of goods and services. Not every household had that $460, right? So, I mean, we're talking averages here.
Dude.
Listen to this, okay? And keep in mind that the Consumer Price Index strips out volatile food and energy prices, right? Energy prices rose 34.6% compared to a year ago, driven by a 50% jump in gas prices over the last year.
Yeah.
AAA's tracking of gas prices. This article was a couple of days ago, or yesterday, I should say. So it might have officially hit $5, right? But AAA's tracking of gas prices shows the price of a gallon of regular gas nationwide is now $4.99 after setting records in 31 of the last 32 days. Electricity is also to blame for the rise in energy prices, rising 12% in the last 12 months, the biggest annual increase since 2006. The price of natural gas rose 30.2%, biggest jump since 2008. The higher energy prices alone added 2 percentage points to the CPI. Prices for food rose 11 which is also excluded, right? It was food and energy prices. Prices for food rose 11.9%, which, I mean, I use eggs as an example often, which are up 32%. But I think that number is closer to the average than the 11.9%. But of course, I'm living within my own set of conditions here. I mean, it could be worse in Phoenix. It probably is worse in Phoenix than it is in other parts of the country. But prices for food rose 11.9%, which is the largest 12-month increase since 1979. Eggs are up 32.2%. Milk is up 15.9%. Poultry is up 16.6%. And then the shelter index, which measures rent and other housing costs, posted a 5.5% increase, which is the biggest 12-month increase since 1991. Used car prices, which had shown signs of moderating with monthly declines over the last 3 months, rose again, lifting prices 16.1% over the last 12-month period. New car prices are up 12.6% over the same period. Shortages of computer chips have curbed production at automakers, limiting inventory and rising prices. And on top of that, strong demand for air travel at the start of the summer travel season has raised airline prices with a 1-month jump of 12.6% in May, which is the third straight monthly rise of more than 10%. In the last 12-month period, airfares have raised an average of 37.8%. Wow. The continuing high pace of inflation means the Fed is all but certain to continue to aggressively raise interest rates when it meets next week. They're talking about a 3/4 point hike. I mean, remember how a couple of months ago they were talking about doing more interest rate raises more often, but doing smaller so it wouldn't trigger a recession, right? And then in May, the Fed raised rates by 0.5 point, first time in 22 years, by the way. And now they're talking about a 3/4 point hike at next week's meeting. And if it's not a 3/4 point hike, it's going to be a 0.5 point hike. And what does that mean, you might ask? Well, I mean, any amount of debt, any amount of credit is going to cost more money, right? So if you're trying to purchase a home, if you're trying to purchase a car, if you need to make an emergency purchase on your credit card, you're going to see much higher rates. You already are compared to a year ago. I know I am.
Yep.
I'm glad to say that I refinanced my car, during COVID, so my interest rate through the credit union that I use is quite low, but anyway, there are worries that the Fed monetary tightening could plunge the U.S. economy into a recession. I think that that's understating it. There were worries that the Fed monetary tightening could plunge the U.S. economy into a recession about a single 0.5 point hike. That's why they were doing the 1/4 point hikes.
Yeah. And once again, The recession is already fucking upon us. This could lead to bullshit is just that bullshit. It's already here. It's already here.
Right.
These motherfuckers are greedy as fuck, perpetually getting more and more greedy. And how the fuck is anybody supposed to survive? We already could barely survive at all prior to all of this fucking inflation just steamrolling everything. Wages aren't going up to fucking accommodate it. What the fuck do they expect the masses to actually do?
Right. I did not notice that Scott was in here, so I just wanted to say hi, Scott.
Hello?
Hello, hello.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, God, I've been talking this whole time. Great. Okay.
Oh my God. That's funny.
Oh, it's great. That's good that my headset's working. I'm like, wow, these guys really don't care for me anymore.
No, I had a different window up with our talking stuff.
So, how you doing, guys? I wanted to, as I noted earlier, but you couldn't hear me, was that, it's funny we don't consider it a recession because the way we measure a recession is through the stock market. But nobody cares about the stock market right now when it's getting too difficult to live. The fact that that we're showing record profits, but people can't afford to live is a real sign that we're measuring it in the wrong way.
Yeah. Well,
Absolutely.
Okay, to elaborate on that, ask anyone who works a 9-to-5 job who lives paycheck to paycheck if we're in a recession.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck what the rich people think.
Yeah.
The people that work for a living are struggling. We have been for a fucking long time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I posted something in the group the other day, which is a meme that's gone viral since then. And it's a woman talking about how older people shouldn't be telling young people how to manage money. And the point was, hang on, I wish folks would stop telling young people how to manage their money. I paid $310 for my first apartment. Based on inflation, it should go up for $850 per month, but the rent is $1,600. Okay, so that's nearly twice as much as what it should be accounting for inflation.
Yeah.
You can't personally finance your way out of greedy landlords and depressed wages. That's 100% accurate. There's no way for us to save enough to do anything. I make good money, and I still wonder if I'm going to make it to the next paycheck.
Right. It's like the cost of living in every fucking way, shape, and form is just fucking exploding.
Yeah,
like, well, but we feel like being a little more greedy because fuck you, we're now.
Yeah, it didn't Mary post something the other day where she showed like all of the food that she could get for $250 like 3 years ago versus what she could get now?
I don't know, but the last time that I spent $100 at the grocery store, I was angry.
Yeah,
like seriously,
you can't get out of there without $50.
It was like 2 bags. It was like 2 decently packed bags of shit.
I spent $357 fucking dollars at the grocery store the other day, and my cart was not even full. It was a little over half full.
It's funny. Going out to eat used to be a luxury, and now it's less expensive to go to McDonald's than it is to eat to buy something to eat at home. And that's the unfortunate thing, because they can afford to buy in bulk, and we can't.
Well, I mean, if you really want to get down to it, what it is, is they own their supply chain.
Right. And we
So they can produce as much as they want and, just cover expenses and not have to worry about, paying a middleman.
Speaking of being your own supply chain, congratulations on the big move, Rob, and the house where you'll finally be able to harvest your own food and won't have to worry about it.
We will be doing, I will be doing some gardening outside of just my own property as well. I'm going to be trying to set up some community gardening stuff, or linking up with existing groups is how I should have worded that. But
Sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. And, every day that it's over 100 degrees here, I just, look at the the temperature where I'm going, and I'm just like, oh man, I'm gonna be cold. Like,
It will be worse, even in the summer.
Like at night, I legit will be cold. I'm not even, dude. Like last night, we got done. It was 2:30 in the morning our time, right? And here it was 92 degrees. Okay. And then I look there and it's like 67. And I'm like, oh my God. Like when it's about that here in the wintertime, unless I'm like standing in direct sunlight, I'm wearing a hoodie.
Right. Oh, even with like how drastic the temperature differences are between during the day here versus come like 5-6 in the morning here, when it's like, oh man, it dropped to 75. I freeze my ass off, but then I fucking roast during the day. It's fucking 105 out right now. It's stupid.
It
Wow.
is very windy and a little bit cloudy. I mean, technically it's 4 days before the start of monsoon season, but I'm kind of hoping that maybe we get some sort of moisture. But it got really windy over the last hour or so, and it went from 116 to 110.
Wow.
Woo! Relief. Up here,
I mean,
drops
no,
down.
because you walk outside and
then
it's still like a
decided to kind of
fucking
go.
air dryer blowing in your face.
Yikes.
That. The breeze
I mean,
isn't even
we have days like that, but they're few and far between.
We've had way
You'll
too
feel
many
better up here.
100
We've had way too many.
lately.
Unbelievable. Anyway, sorry to interject. I'm late to the party here, but I wanted to make sure that you knew that I was not ignoring you.
Hey,
Right
late
on.
is okay. I'm glad you're here. Shit. Thank
Glad
you for
to be here.
answering the call.
Right?
Yeah, late, but answered. That's good.
So the chief of investment officers at Plant Moran Financial Advisors, I don't know. I don't give a shit. He said, quote, inflation is proving to be more persistent than was widely believed a year ago when transitory was the buzzword. The two key questions now, one, how far will the Fed go to knock inflation down? And two, how far can the Fed go without pushing the economy into a recession? They already did.
Right.
Okay, I'm hereby repronouncing their name as Plant Moron.
Excellent.
Fuck's sake.
Excellent. Fitting.
Yeah.
So
We're
the
already-
inflation report brought new attacks on the Biden administration from Republicans
Oh, Jesus.
because, Biden controls everything. I don't think they understand the Federal Reserve banking system, if that's what they think.
I just posted about him, what sense does it make that he has control over the gas prices? Because I keep hearing about the gas prices. Like, can you tell me what influence he has on gas prices? Please post everything you know about Joe Biden's manipulation of gas prices. If you can tell me how he's doing it and why he's doing it, then help me understand midterm elections and how gas prices impact those. Like, why on earth would he be manipulating them to be higher at this point? That'd be stupid.
Well, it's kind of like, you know, how the stock market is nothing but a fucking graph of rich people's feelings. The same applies to the fucking gas prices. These are rich people's feelings we're seeing. They went, oh, a Democrat is in office? I'm fucking salty. I should jack up the gas prices. That's all this is. We don't have a fucking shortage. Our fucking imports are not affected by the minuscule fucking 3% of imports that we were getting from Russia. It's all bullshit. This is nothing but oil oligarchs' feelings. Fucking your wallet without any lube. Not even a rich rep.
I want the stock market is a graph of rich people's feelings on a t-shirt.
I do too. You know what? I'm gonna pop that in Slack right fucking now.
Oh man.
Terrific. And Natalie's point, does anybody understand the Federal Reserve banking system? No, I don't think
we know that it's not.
That's a very fair point. I understand it well enough to know that they can do whatever the fuck they want with the money. And that they're not under federal control.
Private banking institution. No, there's nothing federal about it except the shit name.
Yeah.
Like, they are a private business. Every fucking dollar that they print, digital dollar that they fucking decide to just start adding more zeros to the other bank's fucking reserves. If it comes freely, as much money in circulation as what's owed back to them. It's a scam from start to finish. It's a racket. It's
you know, and to go back to gas prices, this is price gouging. It's exactly what it is. It should be entirely illegal. And in fact, the House passed a bill back in May to allow the Federal Trade Commission to regulate some of that pricing. But that's being blocked by Republicans in the Senate, as you might be surprised.
right. Yeah, Mike just said, capitalists causing a bust cycle to reset the game. It usually doesn't happen this often, but they are greedy enough to keep at it. That. It is. Fucking Letico. Greed sickness. It's fucking disturbing. It's so fucking disturbing that they can even get with this shit.
You know, I mean, and it's scary, and things are only getting. I try to explain to people that, you know, this happens. It's cyclical, and we have to go through some kind of revolutionary period in order to bring it back to where it once was. And that's, even then, I don't want to go back to where we were. I want to go back to something that's going to be a little bit more progressive, and I just don't see that happening. Although I do see a large movement publicly where the left has become more palatable, and we always become more palatable right when people are like, oh my god, this is out of control, you know?
Right.
You know, like everybody thinks like the left is dangerous and scary and we're all awful until these times occur, and then all of a sudden we're everybody's best friend.
Right. And that's the thing. It's fucking disturbing that it takes shit hitting the fan and spraying all over every fucking body for them to go, oh fuck, maybe the leftists are right. Maybe we should own the full value of our labor. Maybe we should actually have access to fucking healthcare, food, and housing. Oh fuck.
Right.
Like, how long do we have to fucking tell you before you actually let it resonate and put it into action?
Right.
This system's
Well,
fucked.
and then of course they always adopt some form of watered down leftist policy in order to bring us back to normality, right?
Yeah.
Which is always a sign that leftist policy might be onto something, because that's what it takes to bring us back to normality. I don't know how else to explain it.
It's just that they take half measures when they're starting from a compromised position already with watering the shit the fuck down. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, this isn't even having a great enough effect to actually help. And on top of it, when these things aren't like codified, they can just be walked back.
Right. Well, they usually are.
Yeah. Look at what's happening with Social Security. Look at what's happening with our food stamps program. I mean, that already got fucked in the ass by Trump a couple of years ago, making it where if you don't have a minimum income, then fuck you, you're too poor to get help with food. You don't qualify unless you are unless you have an income that is at least equivalent to 20 hours a week at minimum wage. So in this fucked economy with they they just keep fucking everybody harder. All of these things are being fucked that we're actually starting to help, and they're like, yeah, no, why should we fund that? Fuck you, it's not your money, motherfuckers. It's our money. Why are we funding trillions a fucking year in war while people here go homeless and hungry and without fucking proper health care? It's not that we can't afford to make sure that everybody has a dignified standard of living. It's that these numbskull fucking chuckle fucks that we have in government are like, but wait, that doesn't profiteer enough for our buddies who own these corporations and shit. That's we can't do that. Fucking hate this system.
It's funny. A friend of mine, I say friend very loosely, the term is being used very loosely here, posted a quote from Lawrence Reed. And anybody who posts a quote from Lawrence Reed should automatically be thrown into the fire, or launched into the sun. And the quote is, have you ever noticed how statists are constantly, quote unquote, reforming their own handiwork? Education reform, healthcare reform, welfare reform, tax reform. The very fact that they're always busy reforming is an implicit admission that they didn't get it right the first 50 times. But first of all, that's a complete misunderstanding of the term reform, but I digress. It's certainly, it says to me that he thinks every piece of legislation that's ever come from the right is a perfect bit of legislation. And I'd rather be wrong and fix it than be pretend like I was right. That's my hot take on that particular quote. Though I find it insulting, and anybody who has ever read a Lawrence Reed book will know how distasteful all of his commentary is.
Thankfully, I have not tainted my brain with any of his work.
Oh well, don't bother. I assure you, it's not. It would pain you to get through it. You'd have to reset your brain.
So
Did you
on the
guys
topic
already?
of inflation, there's only one more thing that I want to draw focus to, and that is a quote from Joe Biden himself. He was at the port of Los Angeles, where he was pausing from a regional summit to address what his team views as the most pressing current issue: high prices on everything from gas to groceries. He said, quote, "Today's inflation report confirms what Americans already know. Putin's price hike is hitting America hard."
Jesus Christ. All right.
Wasn't he just like, taking the more Bernie Sanders line a couple of weeks ago and like blaming greedy corporations? Now he's blaming Putin.
But here's the problem. It makes it so that every argument in his favor is gone. Like, okay, I have no control over gas prices would be a nice, refreshing comment from the president, but apparently they have to be some form of, minor deity. So he's saying, oh well, Russia is the ones that doing this. He has to pawn off the blame on Putin, which is just foolish, since we get a measly 4% of our gas before this whole thing from Russia, and even then, that's negligible at best. It's only for diplomacy that we have that 4%. And what people fail to really notice is that America produces more gas than it buys, but we sell all of our gas as a diplomatic tool. We don't consume the gas we produce because it's cheaper for us to buy it from elsewhere and to use our gas to manipulate the rest of the world.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally. We could have a whole conversation on the petrodollar, but I don't have the time or energy for that.
Yeah.
Can I sum it up as it's all fucked?
Absolutely.
There's that. It's all
But
fucked.
he just simply blew holes in every defense he possibly had about the prices not being his fault. He could simply have just said, gas prices are out of my control. I don't like Putin, and move on from there. Yeah.
The thing is, him even framing it like this is adding fuel to the Republicans' fire when they're sitting here going, see, it's Joe's fault and shit. And it's like, whoever's in office is not in control of the gas prices. That's not how shit works. That's not how shit works at all. Unless he actually owned a fucking oil company, he wouldn't have fuck all to do with it. Now, we could say different concerning the Bush family when they held offices, because they own fucking oil companies.
Well, yeah. And, oh my God. So with that being said, let's not forget that Bush jacked up the gas prices, right? And then Obama came into office and the Republicans blamed him.
Huh.
Right.
Imagine.
Right.
Gas prices peaked in 2008. Obama didn't take office until 2009. I'm just fucking saying.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, you don't know this, but Obama actually was on the grassy knoll.
Have you ever noticed that, like, right-wing conspiracy theories are all like QAnon and the Great Replacement theory, but like leftist conspiracy theories are like things of the CIA admitted to doing in the 60s and 70s?
Right. Not theory.
Right.
Definitely conspiracy and collusion. Not theory.
Right. Yeah, listen, they published a whole long admission to this. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know if you guys have already gone over this, but did you go over the Egbert versus Boulay SCOTUS decision?
No.
Okay, so to give you like a little brief overview of this, a few days ago, SCOTUS handed down another horrible decision, which just ruled that border control can enter any home without a warrant and assault you within 100 miles of the border. And no, you have zero federal protections if they do so. Sotomayor wrote a dissenting opinion, which is excellent if you have the chance. It passed 6-3, but Sotomayor has been up in arms about this. She's wrote articles since this decision has come down, arguing that the Trump the Trump appointees are really destroying the sense of justice we have in this country. So that is, and this is for everybody to be appalled by. Not just the left, but the right. Everybody should be terrified of this ruling. It's just crazy.
Right.
Yeah. Oh wow. I did not know that. Comrade Clement says, I've heard something about international airports being borders too. Jeez. So essentially the entire country is covered. They can just walk right in to your house.
Whole continent, border region. What? Oh, for fuck's sake. So many people still don't realize we live in a fascist fucking police state. When they want to declare every fucking where border region that they can do whatever the fuck they want in and be like, whoa, see, there's an airport here, so border. Why aren't people out in the streets screaming? Going, what the
We
fuck?
should be.
We
I
really
mean, that's
should.
just one of many reasons we should be.
So this
Yeah.
this essentially just reinforces the immunity of federal officers from lawsuits relating to violations of their Fourth Amendment rights.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Imagine that.
So, Scott, we're gonna be kind of in the same neck of the woods. You want to like scream in the streets with me?
Hell yeah, brother. Every
Oh,
day
yeah.
I can, my friend.
Hell yeah. So we need an Occupy 2.0, except well organized this time, because I mean it reminds me of 10 years ago when people were asking us, why are you out here protesting? And we're like, everything fucked, all of it, every bit of it, it's all fucked.
Yeah, I remember that. So here's the thing: when you work with revolutionaries, as we all know, everybody has kind of an opinion, and this happened in the early stages of the Russian Revolution with the Social Democratic Party and Trotsky and Lenin and Stalin and the whole party leadership having a lot of infighting about, okay, well, how are we going to do this and what's the structure and blah blah blah. Anytime you have any kind of revolutionary movement, you end up having to be, well, everybody's equal. Well, if everybody's equal, then nothing ever gets passed, So we have to get over that hump and figure out a way to make this a little bit more. And I hate doing this because I'm a Trotskyite, and I hate siding with the Lenin and Stalinists on this one, but Martov was wrong. There has to be structure to this. And we should have a list of demands. We should be working towards a goal and have a solid structure to our leadership so that we can push things forward. And I know all my Trotskyite friends and my Fourth Internationalist friends are going to set me on fire for that, but I can't help that I'm pragmatic. And that was the problem with the...
And I mean, in terms of the list of demands, like the Panther Party left a pretty good blueprint, in my opinion, with the 10-point program.
I think they're forced to be pragmatic.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the real tragedy. If they're not pragmatic, if they're not looking diplomatic, they're written off as unruly gangsters. And so they're forced to be pragmatic and to be more structured.
Right.
And I respect them for doing that amidst being so horribly abused in our culture, in our society, rather.
Wipe your butt?
Thanks, honey. Really appreciate that.
I didn't hear what she said.
Oh, thank God. She's yelling to our child to make sure that he's clean. It's all right. We don't need to have that chat amidst.
So I think that the last thing on our agenda, which I don't have anything about it in front of me, hang on, I can pull it up though, is about Bolivia. Trisha, if you kind of want to lead us into it, I don't know anything about it yet.
Give me just a second. I sent that
Yeah,
over.
I'm opening it right now.
Okay. All right. Let me just scroll up here to where the deets were. Bolivians assembled outside the La Paz court demanding 30 years of prison for the coup leader Janine Áñez, who is currently on trial. During the 2019 coup, Áñez declared herself president, and anti-coup protests were met with heavy repression, leading to 32 deaths. And they were talking about only giving her like 10 fucking years for that. The people are like, fuck that, give this bitch 30.
Right.
And rightfully so. Let me see here. Pulling up the link to see if there's any other stuff I can read through while you grab the video that was there. In the comments, people are saying, don't forget that she granted the security forces immunity from criminal prosecution for acts undertaken while, quote, maintaining public order, i.e. murdering 32 fucking people. In effect, carte blanche for the military to engage in lethal repression. Some said, why not 1,000 years? Can't disagree. This is fucking insane.
I'm gonna pull up the video.
Yeah, please do.
This is from Redfish. It is Russian state-backed media. It's not. It's independent, but it's Russian, so
Yeah. So here come the shit.
Sorry, what was that?
Just gonna say, here come the trolls to talk shit.
Yeah, that's why I said it all sarcastically. Whatever, fucking troll us. I don't care.
Right. Feed us. The trolls feed us.
That's quite an impressive crowd. I'll say that.
Name the plate.
So I think it's important to note that Áñez overthrew Morales's government, which was the first indigenous president of Bolivia.
Yep.
And
he was
socialist.
considerably more left wing.
Mm-hmm.
He was a socialist. He was with the movement for socialism, and was back in power shortly after the coup. But really, kind of an important note that was the first indigenous president of Bolivia, and a coup was attempted on them. Can you imagine that? First, like really, the first native.
I have to question, because again, y'all know I got Swiss cheese memory. Were there American government hands involved in this coup too? Because there seems to be, and pretty much all of them that are against, socialist governments that have been voted into place.
I don't. I'm not a expert in Bolivia by any stretch of the imagination, but the idea that the CIA would have a hand in helping overthrow Morales is not out of the question for sure. I think that the history in Bolivia with the CIA and in general in socialist movements in the region are pretty clearly. I mean, to say in Latin America.
Yeah. I'm asking Google right now to see if we can find out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm filling airtime so that you don't look like you're doing that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Couldn't tell by me looking down. I'm looking at my phone. Let's see.
There's certainly talk about it being over the lithium that Bolivia sits on.
Ooh, there's something interesting here from The Intercept. Give me a second for this to load, but the headline looked like, the headline here is Bolivian ex-minister of defense plotted a second coup using U.S. mercenaries. Gee, who'd have thought? Leaked phone recordings and emails reveal a top official was prepared to use foreign troops to block Bolivia's left-wing MAS party from returning to power. I'm going to put this link in the comments here in just a moment. This says, a top official in the outgoing Bolivian government plotted to deploy hundreds of mercenaries from the United States to overturn the results of the South American country's October 2020 election, according to documents and audio recordings of telephone calls obtained by The Intercept. The aim of the mercenary recruitment was to forcibly block Luis Arc, I don't know, from taking up the presidency for Movimiento El Socialismo, I don't know, MAS, the party of former Bolivian President Evo Morales. The plot continued even though RC Arc, I don't know, a protege of Morales, trounced a crowded field, winning 55% of first-round votes and eliminating the need for a runoff election. In one of the leaked recordings, a person identified as the Bolivian Minister of Defense said he was, quote, working to avoid the annihilation of my country, end quote. Motherfucker. The armed forces and the people need to, quote, rise up, he added, and block an RC administration. The next 72 hours are crucial, end quote. Disagreements between ministers and divisions within the armed forces, strained under the weight of his convincing victory on October 18th, 2020, appear to have undermined the plan. It was executed, and several top officials of the outgoing government have either fled Bolivia or been arrested on separate charges. Well, I'm telling you, if they were trying to put a stop to that because this started in 2019, I wouldn't doubt that U.S. mercenaries were involved from the fucking beginning. If they were like, oh, fuck, they're coming back, we gotta squash them again. Says here for over a year prior, Bolivia had been plunged into a rolling crisis when in October 2019, Morales was on the ballot for a controversial fourth term. The opposition accused him of rigging the election. The Organization of the United States, or OAS, quickly echoed the charge. Amid widespread protests, a police mutiny, and pressure from the army, Morales was forced to step down. He was hastily sworn in as caretaker president, promising to hold new elections in weeks. And instead, she reoriented the government away from Morales' leftist approach and towards Donald Trump's White House, adopted a strident Christian tone in contrast to Morales' championing of indigenous Andean culture, and issued a decree preemptively shielding soldiers from prosecution. The armed forces soon afterward carried out multiple massacres while suppressing opposition to the new interim government. Prosecutors and gangs persecuted MAS supporters in the courts and the streets. After 14 years of growth under Morales, thousands were dragged back into poverty during COVID-19, which Anya's demonstrations demanding new elections. Anya's finally allowed the balloting last fall. She also ran for president herself, only to drop out of the race after polls placed her at a distant fourth. RC Arcs, I don't know, eventual victory last fall. And hold on, I'm going to scroll up. This is from June of last year. So they're talking about fall of 2020. Scroll back to where I was at. Was a stunning rejection of the right-wing shift overseen by Anya's. The long-serving economy minister under Morales, RC also distanced himself from his former boss. He said, quote, "We have recovered democracy," vowing to work to stabilize and unify the country. The Bolivian right wing, however, was not ready to relinquish power. The call with Anya's defense minister, in which the speaker suggests several other top officials are likely to be on board, sketches a coup plot even more flagrant than the one in October 2019. Several of the plotters discussed flying hundreds of foreign mercenaries into Bolivia from a U.S. military base outside Miami. These would join forces with elite Bolivian military units, renegade police squadrons, and vigilante mobs in a desperate bid to keep the country's largest political movement from returning to power. The phone calls, along with leaked emails discussing a mass deployment of hired guns to coincide with the elections, reveal how Bolivia could have seen fresh bloodshed late in 2020. Two U.S. military sources confirmed that the Special Operations Commands that they worked for had gotten wind of the Bolivia coup plot, but nothing ever came of it, they told The Intercept. One Special Ops source added, "No one really took them seriously as far as I know." The longest of the recordings is a 15-minute phone call with a person The Intercept identified as Luis Fernando Lopez, a former paratrooper and businessman appointed defense minister by Anya's in November 2019. Lopez, who is referred to in the call as Mr. Minister, can be identified through references to his work as minister with the armed forces and by comparing the voice of the relevant speaker and claims he makes in the recording. Civilian administrator with the U.S. Army who was based in Bolivia at the time. So there's the collusion right fucking there.
I mean, it shouldn't.
You had a thought, Scott?
Yeah, it shouldn't shock anyone. I mean, this is America has kind of a troubled history with Bolivia, and the idea that we'd be after their lithium is not a shock to me, or that we would orchestrate a coup in Bolivia in order to do that, because it wouldn't be the first time. I wouldn't. I don't need to remind anybody here. I don't need to remind my comrades here that Bolivia was the final resting place of Comrade Che Guevara. And that's exactly where the CIA admittedly assassinated, shooting him 9 times. So, I mean, we have a real troubled history with Bolivia. And the shock to me that the United States would be involved. I'd be more shocked if the CIA had no involvement in the coup in Bolivia.
Right. That would be more shocking for sure.
Yeah, even if the support was backdoor financial, it wouldn't shock me at all.
Right. The fact that they had a bunch of fucking mercenaries ready to fly over there, like,
yeah, it was either that or the Pinkertons.
Yeah. Yeah, there's more.
I don't know. I mean, honestly, like, I'm glad that they're marching, and I think this is just the beginning of this, but I think that they should set the bar a little higher.
Yeah.
I mean, power to the people. That's what we all want, right?
Absolutely. And see, these people very adamantly want their fucking socialism back, not Trump style Republican bullshit that fucks them over.
Right.
That's fucking sad and pathetic that she was modeling what she was doing after Trump. Like, are you kidding
I
me?
wonder if she'll serve the full 10. Do we have an office pool on whether she's going to serve the full 10 or not?
No.
I'm hoping the people are successful in calling for 30. Now, whether or not she'll serve all of that, we'll see. That
I
10
used
years.
to really solidly believe that the court should not be influenced by people, but current circumstances are forcing me to reconsider that opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially when it's something like that that is straight up fucking treachery.
Mm-hmm. It's worse than treachery. It's treason.
Yeah. And it's
It's an
murder.
insurrection.
32 people. At least that we know of, that they, stated in that article. I mean, who knows how many more there could be that, because it said multiple massacres. Like, who the fuck did she think she was, giving, carte blanche to the military and police forces to just kill people in order to squash any resistance? Fuck that. Fuck that. That's fucking murder. She should get a life sentence for each fucking count.
I mean, I totally agree with you on that. Anyway, though, do we have anything else that we're trying to squeeze in? We're coming up on our hour and a half, so.
Well, something actually just popped up on my notifications, but it doesn't say where this is, of deadly mudslides. So, if you want, we can touch on a little what the fuck in the weather before we go. Let me see if I can get that. I clicked it to pull it up, and it didn't pull up. Hold up. What's up with that? Let me see. Okay. Give me a second to screen share. This is in southern China. Where's that? That. There we go. Holy fuck. Holy fuck, the whole road collapsed.
The data from Climate Central is clear. Summers are getting warmer across much of the nation.
Extreme heat in the United States is
Stop the screen share. Oh. Damn. Yeah, but climate change ain't real.
getting worse.
Right.
We're seeing higher temperatures. We're seeing heat waves lasting
Why
longer.
is this doing that? Sorry. My other window kept playing shit.
Right. As I said in the comments, that's a lot of mud.
Yeah, that was a lot of mud. I wish it hadn't just fucking moved on to something else there, because I wanted to read the details that were with it about the location. There we go. I found it. 7 people were killed in that mudslide. It was all caused by heavy rain in the city of, and I might be destroying this, Beiliu, and the Guangxi Shang Autonomous Region of China. That's all I'm seeing here as far as details on that, though. But climate change ain't real. Notice the eye roll.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oy vey. Well, I got nothing else, but yeah.
Yeah, me either. What about you, Scott?
Oh my God, yes. I'm all set. I'll try and jump on earlier next week.
Right
Hell
on.
yeah.
Next week we should be, on our regular day of Friday. I just could not make last night happen. We had to finish loading our shipping container because we didn't know what time they were going to show up to pick it up today, and we didn't want to do it when it's 115 degrees. So,
Right.
yeah.
Don't blame me there. It's bad enough doing it when it's fucking like 90.
Yeah, for sure. But I'll try next week to schedule around it better. Remember to join us. Well, I can't give you a specific time because I don't know who's speaking when, et cetera, et cetera. Join us sometime Sunday or Monday for coverage of the Amazon Labor Union press conference here in Phoenix. Yeah. Alexis, the regular time is Friday at 8 o'clock Eastern. Basically, we pushed it back by a day this week, but same time, same place, just Friday instead of Saturday. But yeah, so over the next 2 days, watch for live coverage from the Amazon Labor Union press conference, and then we will have a follow-up piece after that, within the next couple of days after that. And I believe that there is some sort of press release coming down the pipe for the Second Rainbow Coalition, but I don't totally know, so I can't give you a day on that either. I know it's coming, I just don't know when.
Right. But Wednesdays we will be airing at 4 p.m. Eastern time the reading group with the United Panther Movement, and on Saturdays at 4 p.m. Eastern time is the Hassan Shakur educational program. If you didn't see that today, go check it out. Sorry it's busted up into a couple different videos. I lost signal. Rob's the day. But we'll be, continuing that next Saturday too, if you want to join us for that.
And for the Wednesday class, the reading group, that is currently we are reading Blood in My Eye by George Jackson.
Yeah. It's pretty fucking dope. Also, Monday nights, check out Bread Theory. Zach and I are in the middle of reading, oh God, what's his name? Howard Zinn's book,
Oh my
A
God.
People's History of the United States. Yeah, I had a brain shark moment, had to think. But that book is blatant honesty about the fuckery committed by colonizers. And I believe we're in chapter 3 right now. That it definitely deserves a trigger warning because Howard Zinn does not bullshit around when he comes to calling out all of the fuckery and the devastation and the flat out murder.
It's American history without all the Instagram filters.
Yeah, it hasn't been whitewashed. It's not safe for work unless you are in a cool workplace that actually, is all for unwhitewashing our fucking history. But yeah, come check that out on Bread Theory. That'll also be airing to the Left Signal Boost TV, which we are also a proud member of.
The Left Signal Boost TV Collective. You can find them on Facebook. Bread Theory streams to there. They're actually, I mean, the coalition is growing all the time. I don't even know who's all on there anymore. It started with like us and Zach, and now it's like every day there's something going on. Sometimes more than one of us are streaming at the same time.
It's growing quickly, and it's fucking beautiful. So much leftist content.
And I also know that you can't see how stunningly attractive I am because my camera isn't attached to my computer right now. But I will be hosting a late show, which is in the production stages, called Who's Left? So we will be airing that eventually once I nail down all of the details on it.
Right on.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I'm disappointed that we don't get to see your rosy glow right now, but I'm looking forward to seeing it at the late show.
Love you, mean it.
Always. Love you.
All right. Anyway, see you guys tomorrow or Monday. Probably tomorrow. See you. Jesus Christ. Wednesday for the educational program, George Jackson. See you Friday for the current event stream, and Saturday for the Hassan Shakur educational program. And then whenever Who's Left starts, I'm not sure what day, but I don't know if we're going to keep the regular time that we usually do, or if we're going to, like actually make it a late show. But
It might be the current event stream. So we'll look at that. I won't have to deal with you West Coasters anymore because Rob will be on the East Coast now. And he won't want to stay up until 4 a.m. doing this.
Right. Well, I'll still be out here for a little while. I don't know where I'm bouncing after this. I don't know. That's yet to be determined.
Travel this way. Comrade Clement, we are so glad you found us too.
Hell yes. Yes, we are. Fuck yeah. Come join our education group too, comrade. We've got a mutual aid group going too. Yeah, good stuff. All good stuff.
All right. Well, I guess if
is it time for the music?
I think it is.
Put on that
I was
music.
gonna ask James what time it was, but I think I'll just do it.
Oh, he already said in the comments it's time for the
Oh.
music.
You right. You right.
Must have been right as you were taking the chat feed off the screen.
You're right. All right.
Yep. Love, peace, solidarity.
Power
See
to
y'all
the
soon.
people.
Fucking A.
Absolute freedom. And we're all looking for freedom. Didn't matter when they sold the devil guns. Didn't matter when they played us guns. Didn't matter when they stole your mother's son. Now everyone